they gutted a lot of the essential Rambo from that series. Like, there's shades of it, like you said, with the action figures, how the likeness is, and different things that they brought in the action figure line that they didn't have in the show. But with the show, they completely gutted Rambo. It was almost like Rambo was straight from, like, they don't mention Vietnam, but straight from, like, Vietnam to the UN. Almost like Rambo, only what he did was special ops, you know? Like, they gutted the PTSD, they gutted everything. It was kind of like a new incarnation of Rambo. If they were going to remake it, Rambo as a whole, I would say to go that way. Because at the core, Rambo knew he could kill in the first one. And he knew he was good at it, but he didn't kill anybody. So, you kind of played on that paradox of Rambo, you know, a bit. So that would be cool.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, I don't want to see a remake, but if I can see it, like you said, how the cartoon took away the darkness of Rambo. I can see if they do more Rambo movies with Stallone, I can see that taking that darkness away from Rambo. Not too much of it away, but that he's now at peace. Because if you look at the cartoon, he's a guy who now lives in peace and teaching kids how to do this and do that. He's fishing. That kind of shows you where Rambo is right now. After part 4, at the end of part 4, he's at peace, and he's so it's kind of like if you watch the end of Rambo 4, it kind of shows a different Rambo was born, which is the Rambo, like possibly the Rambo from the cartoon show.
Yeah. And also, like, say if they, for Last Blood, okay, let's just say for Rambo 5 Last Blood. If they were, I would accept them going the route of First Blood where Rambo didn't kill anybody. But could you imagine the maiming now compared to back then? Like, could you imagine First Blood, like the hunting montage, done in the style that Rambo 2008 was done? Like, you know, like when is it Mitch? Mitch gets stabbed, right? Rambo comes up and stabs Mitch in the leg.
Yeah.
But can you imagine how graphic that would be, you know, like with the blood effects and the spear trap? Like the spear trap would be insane. Or just, you know, like when he grabs that guy and he punches his shoulder. Could you imagine what it would be like if like the bones were like protruding out, you know, with the blood and everything, showing like the lethal side of Rambo, but him not killing anyone, essentially. I would go for that. If they had to make a movie where Rambo was on American soil, Rambo couldn't kill anybody, but he could maim people, I would go see that. If they followed that.
You know what? I was thinking for the fifth film, or hopefully any Rambo film after that, if they don't kill him off, I can see they should do something like him maiming and killing people at the same time, like he's on the run from the law.
Yeah.
And he gets framed by these bad guys. And he's on the run, and he has to can't kill anybody. He has to maim them, and then he set up traps for people he can't kill, and then he can set up traps for the people he can kill. That would be great. Him maiming and killing people at the same time.
Yeah. When I was writing my Rambo 5 treatment, I kind of had it in that way where like he would kill the bad guys, but even though that the police were an obstacle, he would try to get away from them, but the ones he couldn't, he would maim them.
Exactly. And
like the version of Rambo like I had didn't really get into the weaponry side of things. He more or less had like the knife and like a new version of the knife, and he had like a bow and arrow, but he lost that pretty quick. You know, like he only had it for a little while, and. Yeah, that would have been amazing. It was kind of like, you know, like Enemy of the State, how they know the satellites, they know where he is all the time, and just dispatching.
Yeah, I love that movie.
It's kind of like that. It's like, it pretty much, when Rambo actually comes home, he gets framed into killing a little girl, one of his archery students, and she's hung by the rafters. Like, her neck's all broken, they burnt down the place. Tomask is actually in my script, but he dies. Very heroic death. and whatchamacallit, like Rambo snaps and goes on his Vietnam trip when he sees the girl dead, and his head's all blasted apart because he gets shot, the shotgun through his windshield in the face and tears up part of his head. And he's wearing a plaid shirt. He rips off the shirt and he ties it around his head to hold his head back together. And he goes after the bad guys, but it's kind of like he gets framed, so all the police and everything are looking at him from that angle, from like the enemy of the state angle. And Rambo's got no chance.
No.
So he knows the only way to avenge of what's been happening is, you know, guerrilla war style, but in the city. Like it starts off in a country and it moves into the city, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? What I mentioned about Rambo in the city, how he has to be on the run and has to use his skills to maim and kill people. If you've seen the trailer, that's the storyline for Taken 3.
That looks amazing. That looks amazing.
That's definitely what Rambo could end up doing. And when I saw that trailer, that's exactly what Rambo could end up doing back in America.
Yeah.
He's on the run.
I had this
You
whole...
have to find out what...
Oh, yeah, continue.
No. I'm just saying. That's what Rambo should end up doing. Exactly what Rambo might end up doing.
I'll take you through how I thought it could be done. Actually, it's a long story, but
Go ahead.
I would have done it completely conspiracy style. Everything that happened in Vietnam, and then having you know, like the backlash and like all the rumors of the money and what everything was really about. I would bring in biblical reference. I would bring in like all these martyristic aspects. I would have went the whole 9 yards with it. You know, I would have had like flashback scenes, you know, everything. I'm planning on one day doing it, probably when we get to season 5, I'm going to actually map out the whole thing and do like a 3-hour discussion video on it. It's pretty insane.
That's a good idea. You should do that. But honestly, what did you think of the trailer for Taken 3?
I loved it. I
liked it because it was different. It wasn't a rehash.
Yeah, and I like how it signifies the other ones. You know, with him on the phone, and he's like, this time he doesn't care. This time he's gonna kill you, even if it means he's killing himself. It's like, I got nothing left to lose. Oh! You know what it reminded me of? You know in Jack Reacher when Tom Cruise is on the phone? And he's like, killer, I don't care. Wham! Hangs up the phone, calls him back, fucks with the guy, you know, like... Amazing.
Oh man, yeah, exactly, and of course we got to mention Jack Reacher again because, like I said, he's like the in the phenomenon because he's like I say all this talk about knockoffs and stuff like that. His inspirations, like I said, Jack Reacher is the recent inspiration from Rambo, like those action heroes.
Yeah.
He's the recent inspiration for Rambo.
How do you think it would have played out if Crenna was in Rambo 4?
You know what? I think it would maybe it was starting off like maybe instead of the preacher coming to see Rambo, it's actually Trapman Crenna, but he's actually dying.
Yeah.
And he's like the last person to tell Rambo to finally man up and go on this mission. And it would have been better instead of the preacher coming to drive Rambo to go get them. It's Trapman, but he's dying. He gives him just a little last piece of advice.
Yeah.
To help him, and the fact that his mentor is dying is like his father figure, and that even drives him even more. Soon I will have nothing to lose, and I'll probably go nuts, and I have to go do this.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Maybe after he saves the missionaries, before he goes back home, there's a scene where he goes to Trotman laying in his deathbed, and he talked about how I'm proud of you. You conquered your inner demons, and then he dies, and then that's when he goes back home.
Oh, I like that angle. I could also see him as like when Rambo goes home at the end, instead of going home, he goes to see Troutman. I could see that playing out, like giving him a cameo.
You know what? They should have done that instead of him going home to see his father. It should have ended with him at Trotman's house. But despite the fact that Richard Crenna died, at least have a scene where he's walking down to Trotman's house.
Yeah, that would have been amazing. Troutman. Oh man.
Like I said, they should do like a TV series based on Trotman than Rambo, because if you watch these shows like Gotham and Smallville, they're supposed to be focusing on the self-titled character, but they're actually focusing on other characters. So so why not? So despite the fact that this franchise is about Rambo, why not do the same thing with having a show that's supposed to focus on the self-titled character, but focuses on some key characters that made the character who he was. And I was thinking, why not do it with Trotman, you know? And I had this cool idea. Just like with Superman with Smallville, this recent one with Batman, Gotham, they should do a Rambo TV show that doesn't actually focus on Rambo, but focuses on key characters. And I was thinking Trotman. I was thinking just simply call it Trotman, and he deals with how Trotman probably entered the Marine, the military, and how he became the competent colonel that he was, and how he met with Rambo, and how they went through Vietnam together. That would make a great show. And you know what? You know how in TV shows they actually have celebrities direct some scenes or direct some episodes? I was thinking maybe bring Stallone to direct some episodes, and maybe have Ted Kotcheff direct some episodes.
Oh, that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Absolutely, it could work. It's the perfect. Think about all these shows, these prequel shows with Superman, Smallville, Batman, Gotham. Why not with Rambo? But instead, it's called Trotman. Simply Trotman. It's perfect.
You could bring Morell in to write it.
Exactly.
That'd be amazing.
Exactly. It'll be a perfect TV show.
I'm planning on picking up his David Morell's Captain America. He did a Captain America book. I'm planning on picking that one up. Yeah. Well, maybe I think it's more than one book. I'm not sure.
Yeah. That's a good idea too. I'm telling you, man, this would make a good concept for a TV show, man. I'm telling you, Trotman, simply Trotman. Just call the show Trotman, and you can have it on HBO cable, because they're not afraid to show all the violence. So it'll be perfect for HBO or something like something. Even Dexter, you know, it was on Showtime. That was a bloody, gory show. Maybe have it on Showtime or something like that.